straight away when I heard it, I went, you know, it goes Youth in Trouble and Ghost. Then there's just like a change. And Youth in Trouble, I had sort of flashbacks to a cross between Beams and Apocalypso. It was almost like the perfect kind of bridging song.
Wow, cool.
Oh, cool.
I just sound like you don't agree with, like, is that not,
No,
was that
no,
not the intention?
This is fun for us.
We love to hear this sort of stuff because obviously we've got our own ideas about it, and it doesn't really, you know, hearing your idea about it is great, perfectly valid, and you know.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people have been saying that about Pacifica, that it's like, you know, you're going back to the Beam style, and I'm not really sure what that means.
Yeah.
You know, because
I
we're
think
so
it's just
close to it.
I think it's just a darker, like, you know,
Right,
Beams was a
right.
much darker sort of, you know, really heavier sort of one. Then Apocalypso had more of the, you know, sort of uplifting vocals.
Right,
I think
okay.
a bit higher in the voice, and
Isn't
you know.
it funny? Well, that's the thing, yeah. As Kim was saying, I mean, we are it, we make it, and we're so close to it, and it's really, well, yeah, being sincere, it's thrilling when people like yourself or our fans actually get to hear it, because then the music actually starts to exist. I mean, we can make all the music in the world, but it doesn't really mean anything until someone's listening to it and making their own connection with it, and that's where the music happens. Yeah, you know,
Yeah,
for one
yeah.
of a weird way to say it.
That's where the magic is, and
Yeah.
you know, especially someone like yourself who's like, you know, knows the work probably pretty well. It's interesting to hear your take on it.
Yeah, and it's funny, things that we think, for instance, oh man, this is a weird song. People think it's going to be really weird, you know, and then people say, wow, this song is probably the most pop thing you've ever done, you know, or flip, you know what I mean? I'm always stunned that people sometimes might even think the complete opposite of what I think, but
Yeah,
that's
right.
it's a cool thing. That's the fun part.
We just heard a track called Ghost. We all know that one. The video just came out for that track. It's from the Radar Record of the Week by The Presets. I've got Kim and Julian in the studio. Kim, I read a quote on the press release saying, when Julian played me his initial sketch of this song, it utterly blew my mind. That for me,
My tiny little mind.
yeah, that I thought was like, oh, it's, you know, cool statement. But I don't know what a sketch is. How do you have a sketch of a song?
Well, you know, the way we work is that we sort of get. It's pretty boring, but we can sort of put beats together or little grooves together, or like, you know, a verse chorus idea together, and you know, there'll be like a scratch vocal over the top where it's not necessarily words, it's just sort of painting a melody, and that's the sort of the stage that we get things up to when we start like playing stuff to each other and getting each other on board with our ideas. You know, we don't necessarily sit in a room and, you know, one of us picks up a guitar and the other one gets on the piano and we sort of start nutting out like chords together. We sort of work more on computers and build up like almost a kind of a sketch of the song, you know.
yeah, right.
So
guess-
it's yeah. So and then we sort of keep developing that, and then Julian will write the lyrics for it and stuff like that. Then we sort of start looking at recording everything properly, and then that's the finished product. That's the kind of way it works for us.
Is it always music first, then lyrics later?
Generally, I mean, certainly lyrically, all the time, little ideas will pop into my head that I think, oh, that would be a cool song, you know, so I sort of remember it all, I write it down, or if I'm on tour and I see something written in the newspaper or a story I read, I think, oh, that would be a good theme for a song, and it all gets sort of lodged in the memory banks. But more often than that, and so I can go and, you know, get those pieces later if I need them, but more often the song will, I guess, present itself, it'll spew out of my mouth whilst hearing the music, a beat. Like we'll talk about another song later on where that sort of happens, where Kim will give me a bit of music that I'll really respond to, and suddenly things will just come out of my mouth.
Well, because you did some, you do
fuck is this shit?
you do writing for other people though as well. You went on like to Bali for a songwriting camp or something. I know you helped Jim Wigmore, Jake Stone.
Yeah, all sorts of bits and pieces like that. I mean, and that's just something I guess I've fallen into over the years. And we both do a lot of different musical things of other bands, and that's really fun. And it's really you can almost use those things as exercises to try out different things that we would never do in the presets, you know. And then often some of those ideas do come back into our music somehow, you know. And it's sort of we're just trying to keep both of us try to have a really rich musical life, and the presets is probably the biggest part of it for both of us. But try and keep it varied.
Yeah.
Now, it's not like a slower BPM, I don't think, but I think it's cool. The vocals are slowed down, like a slower, and it's sort of the first taste of like a ballad, not a ballad.
Yeah, well, it's
but
probably one of the more tender songs on record. You know, and certainly in the past, as I was saying before, we've had songs like "Girl in the Sea" and "If I Know You," and some things that are a bit more on the softer side, and that's always something that we like to explore as well.
I found this softer though.
Oh yeah, probably
Like,
is.
yeah.
Yeah, but I guess I mean, it is a song lyrically. It's a song about fatherhood and having young child and your hopes and dreams for the child, and that is I guess a tender subject. We could never produce that as a smashing monster party anthem. It probably wouldn't fit. Although we probably will get some remixes like that. But yeah, so we couldn't. You know what I mean? You've got to produce the song for the song, what the song sort of means.
Yeah, okay.
It was actually one of the first ones that we kind of got to a pretty complete stage, and so it was we were both pretty unsure as to how even if it would make it on the record, or how like we were like I think we made 3 songs that were all in that same sort of vein at the very beginning, and we're like, hang on a second, who is this band? It was all very mellow and intimate and cruisy, and but I'm so glad that song, it's having that sort of point of difference on an album really makes the album great to me.
I need to re-listen now to listen to the words. Is it like a Preset's Cats in the Cradle or Father and Son, or
Isn't She Lovely? More like that.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
All right, I'm still going to re-listen to it. Let's keep going on with this album. We're at to play a track called Adults Only. Now, a lot of your fans, actually a lot of your fans would probably be sort of my age, but the younger ones wouldn't even know AO.
I know.
Yeah,
I realised that when we sort of did it. I mean, I remember when I was young, and you'd see a television show come on at night, and it would say AO in the corner. And I'd get a bit scared, Oh my God, this is going to be like really scary. Someone's going to get killed, or there's going to be sex or something. And I guess that I have a feeling it's actually an Australian thing. I don't think they had it in the States.
Oh, right.
Someone told me that. Maybe I'm talking out my ass. But yeah, I always thought it'd be.
Was it originally AO, or was it always Adults Only, then just made AO?
At the first, it was Convict Spirits.
That was the working title for the.
And then second of all, it was Adults Only, and then it became AO.
Well, this is about the book, John Burningham's book, right?
Well, I wouldn't say it's about it, but certainly was inspired by it or encouraged by it. I mean, Kim had read that book, and I was reading it at the time, and we both really enjoyed it. And we're born in Sydney, and we live in Sydney, and we really love Sydney, and we really miss Sydney when we tour overseas. But I guess that we both feel that whilst everyone knows Sydney for its stunning beauty, there's also some darker elements to the town that don't get explored as much in music, So yeah, we went ahead and did that. So it's sort of a bit of a history or a song, biopic about the darker sort of aspects of the town we love.
My mum used to tell a story about one of the pubs in the Rocks, and they used to push like sailors into
the hole straight out onto the boat.
Yeah.
Once who were too drunk. I've heard that story too. It's got to be true.
Well,
people would just be drinking, they get getting smashed, and then suddenly they'll be down a shaft on a boat. See ya. 12 weeks.
I'm so glad that you've heard it as well, because Mum's just like a huge, like, never lets the truth get in the way of a good story, old Mum, after a couple of beers anyway. So I just thought she was always just spinning a yarn.
Lucky she didn't go down to that pub. End up on a boat.
Yeah, I could be in
And that's
England.
how you were born.
I fell down a hole. Let's get this song on. This is called Adults Only. It's from the Radar record of the week by the Presets, called Pacifica.